Hello, and welcome to Inspire and Lead podcast, the leadership podcast where we talk about everything leadership. And we meet with leaders from our community and surrounding areas. Just because last week we met with, who did we meet with? Randy Quinones from Florida, who talked about his book, Pain to Power, which was amazing. If you haven't caught that podcast, it's still available on Crowdcast and YouTube. And today we meet with another leader who is from this community, from Dearborn, Michigan. And she's a dear friend of mine, Dua Aladi. And I have been friends for a long time. I believe over 10 years of friendship where we met in an educational setting. And Dua is a leader because she has done so much for her community. And part of what she has done is a nonprofit organization. And this is what we're going to be talking about today. She has come from Iraq as a refugee herself. And as a refugee, I know the struggles. I have been in those shoes before because my family came in as a refugee. And it's not just trying to get to know where we are and what to do and where to go to for help. It's learning the culture, the language, and all the questions that come with it. And Dua has gone through this journey. She has gone through this experience. And what she has chose to do with her own personal experience is to make it easier for other people by creating her foundation. She has created the quality legal experts to help those other people that come here as refugees or immigrants and have the same struggles. So she has chose to actually support others and share her story through her work. And I am not going to talk about her anymore. Instead, I'm going to bring her over to the stage so we can meet Dua Al-Zayadi and talk to her about her journey. And she can tell us all about her leadership journey, because at Inspire and Lead, we meet leaders who help inspire us, and we learn so much from. Dua, welcome to the show. Hi.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that introduction. And thank you for having me. It's an honor to be considered a leader from another leader, a great leader, actually. You're my mentor. You always push me to do more. So my name is Dua Aladi. I am the founder of Quality Legal Experts, also known as QLE Services. And we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. And we focus on primarily social services, but we do other services for our community. So right now we are a remote business. We do everything to make our clients get the services they need as easily as possible, because our clients need all the help they can get.
So I gave away a little bit of, during the introduction about how you got started as, with your foundation, with your quality legal experts. Can you tell us, tell listeners, with a little bit more, of course, detailed, because you own the story. How did you get started? What inspired you to actually start Quality Legal Experts?
So initially, like you said, my family had come to the United States as refugees back in 1995. And that was kind of the beginning of a new life for all of us. Me, my parents, my siblings, everything was new to us. It was a different culture, a different language. We were not aware of anything in the US. So we were learning everything from scratch, as you would say. So going through that experience and having to kind of build our lifestyle that way, step by step, is what led me to going the nonprofit route, and specifically in that area of social services, because of my family's experiences, knowing that refugees, and you don't have to be a refugee, but even a immigrant to the US who's not low income will need all these resources and will need guidance of how to go through the system,
Right.
how to become financially independent, how to build their self-confidence, how to build a foundation for their family, how to build themselves, how to find a job. There's so many factors that I realize individuals need when they first come to the US that honestly I felt like it was very much needed to create that nonprofit.
Yeah, having been in, in those shoes myself and my family, I can tell you, yeah, it's a struggle because, and you don't know how to navigate, not the system. I mean, forget the system. You don't know how to navigate the country. You don't have the language to even ask the questions. So how do you remedy, families who come to you and they don't speak the language? How do you help them? Because that's a big thing.
That is a big thing. So ultimately, being bilingual has definitely helped because you need to be able to communicate with the customers or the clients, I should say, to be able to assist them. So some of our clients are Arabic speaking, some are Spanish speaking. We do have a translator that assists us with the Spanish speakers.
Hmm.
So first, we will find out what services they need, find out what their ultimate situation is. Maybe they're in need of services that they did not realize that would be able to help them or that they would qualify for. So we kind of do an intake assessment to find out exactly where to begin. And we go from there. We will tackle every need that they uh, are requesting. We also do guidance. So along the way, aside from applying for these programs for them, we do guide them throughout the way. So we'll give some advice here and there that'll kind of get them on their feet, help them with decision making, that'll improve their lifestyle. Yeah, so we start there with the intake, and then we will go ahead with the program, follow through until they get their approvals, and then check on them every few weeks, make sure that they're continuing to keep everything updated, keep their information updated. If there's any requirements from these federal programs, we want to make sure that they are doing that on their end. And then we will do a assessment towards the end to see if they've reached their goal because we've set a common goal before we begin. And then about 6 months later is when we kind of look back at it and see where what they've improved and what we can do next for that family.
That's amazing. And I heard you say you also help with translation to other languages. Now, do you and not? I mean, you do speak Arabic as a first language, not as a second language, and that you could help with. But if let's say a family comes to you with Spanish speaking, Urdu speaking, do you partner up with other organizations that help interpret with interpretation and translation,
Not
or how
other
do you?
organizations. We do work hand in hand with other nonprofit organizations that will provide the program that they need if we don't
Okay.
offer that program. But we do have a translator through the phone. So we will
Oh,
have,
okay.
yeah.
Okay. So, um, doing this, you've been doing this for how long? How long? How old is your company?
So we began April 2021. So I would say, what, 3 years now?
Oh,
Three
wow, in
years.
April. Okay.
Yeah. But um, this field is not new to me. I've been doing this for at least, I want to say, 15 years now, not in a nonprofit setting. So I've been helping families. It was just not through a nonprofit setting because that's always been a passion of mine. So when it officially became a nonprofit was April 2021.
So you can't just throw that and not talk about it, right? You have to give some details.
So it, I think mainly what it was when you help one family, they'll spread it to other families.
Hmm.
And those families will reach out to you, which is kind of how it went with me. I'm Arabic speaking, they feel comfortable with me, they trust me, and I listen to understand, I don't listen to respond, and they've noticed that about me. So they really like to kind of open up and discuss their whole life to me. And through that discussion, I kind of see what programs they need and where to lead them. And that's how it's gone over the years. Um,
Were you doing this just yourself or part
yes.
of a business? So you're just doing it. Oh, wow.
So it was just myself. So I would deal with that specific individual or their family, and then be the middle person between them and the nonprofit organization or the federal agency that will be able to assist them.
That's
So
amazing.
I would say an advocate. I've been an advocate for 15 years, but a nonprofit owner actually in that business for 3 years now.
That is really amazing and selfless. And I mean, I think it puts you in the right position to help people, because your passion doesn't just come from out of nowhere. It's your personal experience
Experiences.
plus, what you've been doing for the community without, having that background. And then you went into the nonprofit business, which is, I think it's a great, it's like the cherry on the top type thing. I love that. So throughout your experience, and I'm not limiting it to your just when you started your nonprofit. I'm asking about throughout your experience when you started helping people with getting settled. What are some of the challenges that you faced, and how did you overcome them?
So there was definitely a few challenges, and we're still facing them, but just like any problem or any hardship that we face or our clients face, there's always a solution, right? And that solution might not come instantly, it might take longer than other situations, but I do have the patience for it. And not other organizations, federal agencies, and other people who have a for-profit business and they have like an office that does similar work to ours know that I will tolerate um, getting to that solution, even if it takes months or 2 3 years. I don't care. So a lot of the issues that we do face is waiting times, right? So if a family needs something, we can go ahead and do that for them. But the fact that some agencies take longer than others to approve that application or to get them the services they need, that's primarily the main issue we're facing. It's hard to explain that, especially to someone who's new to the country who kind of wants an instant result or wants a change in their lifestyle right away. That's the I would say the biggest issue we're facing now.
Mhm. And so what do you do that in that case, with people are impatient or they come to you knocking on your door a few times, a week or so? What do you do?
We just continue to explain the process, to reach out to the agency to kind of push for a faster result. We do everything in our capability to make sure our client is comfortable and knows that everything is processing. Sometimes they just need reassurance that it's still going through, because if you think about it, if you put in an application for something and then don't hear back 5 6 months later, you kind of begin to lose hope. So we just make sure that they don't fall into that where they lose hope and then go find another route. And it works most of the time. Our clients are patient and they're very happy with the outcome at the end of the term.
Yeah, it's amazing. So this is being, a leadership podcast. I wanted to ask you about your leadership philosophy. I wanted to know, as someone who, well, you're not a nonprofit leader, but you're also passionate about helping others, growing others. And I mean, you just talked about there is an answer to everything, and that's exactly what John Maxwell's philosophy is, that there's always an answer.
Okay.
And when you have this kind of mindset, you're a true leader, because when you're impatient and you see that there isn't a way out of something, that's when you lose, kind of your patience and hope, and people can't look up to you anymore, can't follow you anymore, right? So you don't have that definition, or part of the definition of a leader. So you brought in a great example of leadership. So I want to ask you about your philosophy. What do you see yourself? I mean, you may not, and you mentioned this at the beginning of the introduction. You don't think yourself as a leader or something like that, but I do. I see that in you. But I wanted to know, when you think of leadership, what does it mean to you? What does that word um, look like in a person? If you were looking at a leader, what does that mean? What are you looking at?
So the way I see it is, I'll use this as an example. If let's say we were all in a room, maybe 50 of us, and let's say a new law passes, and that law affects 25 or 30 of those individuals in the room. If they look at you for the solution, or they look at you and wait to see what you have to say or what your opinion is, or maybe you have a solution that you're going to discuss about this matter, that's what I think of as a leader, is that they look up to you. They trust your instinct. They trust the judgment that you're going to take in that specific situation. Um, Also, I think to be considered a leader, you do have to be selfless because it's not about you. It's not about you. You have everyone else's interest at heart and you're willing to put in that work, which is why I went the nonprofit route. With that passion, you have to go the nonprofit route if you're there to serve your community. You're not there to take anything home from it. It's purely to change lives, to make a difference, and to give other people the opportunities that you know they're capable of, and you know that this will improve them as an individual and improve their lifestyle and improve their family's lifestyle. So as a leader, I think if you have other people's improvement at heart and you're willing to give them those resources and push for it and make that decision ultimately of which route to take, I think that's what makes you a leader.
Yeah, so you're talking about servant leadership. If you
Mm-hmm.
have to have that, and I'm a true and big believer in that. And in that, when you're leading, you're you're doing it for others. And what do you actually what are you giving to others? How are you helping them? I love that definition of
Right.
leadership.
And it
And
starts
then,
with initiating
mm-hmm,
a judgment or initiating a decision, making a path sort of for people. That's the way I
yeah.
view leadership. You don't necessarily uh, the path maybe will not be the same for everybody, but the fact that they trust your judgment and you're the one kind of making the call is where I think that you are considered a leader.
Yeah, you're talking about influence. Yeah, absolutely. So if you are the one who influences others, because the definition of leadership, according to John Maxwell, is influence. So when people are looking up to you as the decision maker, you have followers who trust you, who you've done so much for that they trust your judgment. They've seen that you are someone worth following. So how did your definition of leadership or philosophy of leadership change from before you had your organization to now, or is it still about the same? What are your thoughts on that?
I would say it's still about the same because the passion has not changed. The way I deal with clients has not changed. And I think right now, when we officially became a nonprofit and had our physical location in Taylor, is
Mm-hmm.
when I was kind of more active in that area. So I would reach out to clients more and try to find out what they need, even if they're not reaching out. So I would say the only difference that's happened now that we have the nonprofit is making more moves, making more decisions, and being more proactive than before. Whereas before it was the client would come to you, you deal with that situation, and then you're done. Now it's I want to be more active in the community. I want to make sure everyone knows that they have an opportunity to seek services through our nonprofit.
I love that. I really do, because I think that's the biggest problem. People don't have the problem, they don't know where to go. But once they have a problem, they try to seek out solutions. But if they don't have the resources, they don't know that you exist, they're not going to come to you. So I think advocacy and getting out there is a big thing. So how are you and you said earlier that you are remote, you provide remote services. How has this been, and I know you talked a little bit about from the difference being in the building, people coming to you, and now remote. But does being remote, does it affect the number of people you service at all, or is it about the same, or more? What are your thoughts?
No, not at all. I think actually we had a an increase in clientele when we went remote because now we're just through the phone. They can kind of send in whatever information we need, or they can just call us and we go through everything through the phone or through a Zoom meeting. So it makes it easier for them because a lot of the time our clients either don't have transportation or don't have the money, for example, to get from their location to our location to get these services. So I really liked going remote because it made it easier for our clients. They don't have that struggle. I know I had a few clients kind of get to us halfway when we were at our physical location and then have to go back
Mhm.
home because they didn't even know how to get to our location because they don't read
Mhm.
English and they're new drivers. And I didn't want them to keep taking these risks. So when we were able to do everything remote, I would say it was a great impact and it was positive for us and for the clients.
So you'd be able to reach more people that way. Yeah.
Correct.
One of the benefits, one of the few benefits of COVID, I guess, right? It provided more ways, more channels for people
Oh,
to
yeah.
communicate online.
That we did not think was possible.
Yeah. So, do you have and do you accept volunteers? And if you do, as part of your organization, if you know that we have people listening and watching here, and let's say they want to learn about what would a volunteer program look like? What would people do? What do they need to do to apply? What are the benefits of volunteering? Can you talk about that?
So I would say the ultimate benefit of volunteering with our nonprofit organization is you will go home every day feeling very satisfied. And I don't think anything can beat that feeling when you know you've made a change in someone's life. They're just seeing how grateful the client is, just speaks volumes. And if anyone is interested in volunteering, I do kind of pair them with a specific family, or if there's a specific case that needs to be done, maybe it's not going to take a couple weeks to follow up and might be a one time thing, which would either be meeting the client at a federal agency, translating, assisting them, explaining their situation, getting them the help they need, or maybe paperwork related. So they can deal with the client. It's good experience for them. And we also accept students who would like to do community service. This is also a good experience for them to see if they're interested in this field.
That's
So if someone
amazing.
is interested in volunteering, they can either go through our website and put in a request, or they can give us a call at 248-567-9841,
Oh, let me
or
add your number.
email.
Let's do that because I'd like to have your number available. Three. What is the number again?
248
248
567
567
9841.
9841. Yes, let's make that available. Here we go. This it sounded like you had a lot of volunteering opportunities. That's the right number, or no, I think I changed. I messed it up.
I'm not seeing it on the screen.
Oh, wait, there's an extra zero. 567 9841. Right?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, you don't see it?
No.
Let's try one more time. Well, it's showing.
Okay.
It is showing.
You got the right number, so it's okay.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, because I think one hand can't clap alone, and it's really that feeling plus helping somebody else, who maybe you've gone through the situation yourself or you haven't, but I think volunteering is a great opportunity regardless. Yes, you do go back home and you feel proud of yourself because you've done something really good for some other human being. And that's what we're all about. That's what nonprofit's all about, right? And so and I want to also show your website again because this is where volunteers can go to also apply. Now, do you offer a letter of recommendation or something similar to people who do volunteer after a certain number of hours or something like that?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Wonderful. All righty. We are in the last few minutes of our show, and time goes by so quickly when we're talking about something interesting. I might have to think about extending the time in the future. Just because there's so many things that are really interesting, and I always have so many questions, and our time doesn't allow us. So I want to ask about big wins. Can you think of a time or, maybe a client that you've helped that was victorious at the end, that you had a really good impact on them? And I think good stories always make people feel better, and it also shows the great work. I think we see a lot of bad things happening. That's why we need to also bring those in and focus on those, and kind of listen to positive stories. Can you think of one?
Oh, absolutely. I can think of a few actually, but one that really is near and dear to my heart, and I love this story because it really, really reminds me uh, the purpose of this nonprofit. So I had one client that I had not serviced before. She got our number from another nonprofit organization that was not willing to help her with her situation. And this was a mother in the US. So I can't go into details because of confidentiality, but I'll give you the general picture of the situation. She was living here in the US alone. Her daughters and her husband were out of the country, and she petitioned her family to come here 5 years ago. And whoever did the petition, there was some information that immigration services required of her, and she couldn't pay that agency to continue her paperwork. So it was just put on hold for a while. And you know what these agencies, specifically the immigration, USCIS, is everything is timelined. There's a deadline for it. And if you don't petition it or you don't respond to their request for evidence, your case will be terminated. So she kind of got lucky the last few weeks before her deadline. She reached out to me, and the call was, do you charge money to do this? And I don't have any, but I really, really need the help. So I said, well, what's your situation exactly? She said, I can't come. I don't have a car, but this and this is my situation. Are you able to help me? So I said, yeah, go ahead, send me your papers. Let me see what's required. And it was a long list, like the longest list I've ever seen of requests for evidence. And I said, this will take me a few weeks to work on, and honestly, I've never done something so complicated. But I said, you know what? She's trusting me. She's ultimately trusting me. She has no idea who I am. But just through our phone call, she gave me full trust and said, like, please just do what you can do because I'm kind of helpless at this point. So, long story short, we did get it approved. Did not charge her because money was not the factor there. It was actually reaching the goal that, to unite this mom with her daughters, which were both under 10 years old. And I have kids, and I know how terrible it is to be far from your kids. So we got that approved, and when she got the approval, she could not believe it. In addition to that, while she was waiting, we didn't just stop there. I pushed her. I said, why do you not have U.S. citizenship? You qualify. She said, I don't speak English. I don't think I can make it. I might fail the citizenship exam. I said, I don't care. We're going to do this. I'm going to apply for you. You're not going to pay. But what I want from you is I want you to study the questions. And when you go into that citizenship interview, I want you to go in confident. And we did a mock interview. We did all of it. And she got approved. Her first interview, she got approved. So she came out of there with an approval for her family and an approval for citizenship. She got her U.S. passport. So that story really, really touched my heart, and reminded me ultimately why I went the nonprofit route. It was never for profit. It was to see change in families' lives, and to make sure that families are united. There should not be Money should not be a factor to keep families distant. And we're seeing that all over the world right now, how
Yeah.
there's no peace. Families are getting torn apart, whatever the case may be. But if you're able to make that difference in that family's life, they will never forget that, ever, ever. So that's one story that
Wow.
really, really kind of makes me emotional. But we did it, and I'm very happy for them. And I told her, I said, next September, your daughters will be here and you will be registering them at school, and that's a promise that I'm
Oh.
giving you. And she said, I don't believe it. I've lost so much hope. I don't believe it. I said, I told you you're getting your citizenship, and you did. We got the approval, and you did. Now let's move on to the next step.
So she is still in the waiting process, correct?
She's still in the waiting process, but we are literally almost there. Like I said, September, her
Oh,
daughters will be here in school.
we're gonna need an update on that.
we, we will need
I
to see.
asked you for a heartwarming story, and you left me with goosebumps. I love it. Amazing. Wow. These are the kind of things that really should be shared. And yes, definitely. I think if I have something like that, that would be my go-to. That would be my mission, is to unite those families, and and keep everybody together. That's amazing. Thank you for what you do. It's truly amazing.
Thank you. And our mission with Quality Legal Experts is to be a community resource that offers programs to build self confidence, financial independence, and serves the disadvantaged. And we've touched on all of those because if you can build someone's self confidence, they're going to be more confident and will have more willingness to go out and improve their own lifestyle. So you're kind of giving them a helping hand to help themselves, which will help their
Yeah.
kids in return. And it's like a domino effect. It doesn't just stop there. You're kind of empowering a whole family. And our vision is a community where opportunities are easily accessible. This is something we are truly, truly big on. We offer as many opportunities as we can to those who need it in our community. And they have been so great about taking those opportunities and making a change in their lifestyle. So, this is why we went the nonprofit route. When you compare businesses, for example, I have for-profit businesses. I'm an entrepreneur. I have a dessert business, and I also have rental properties that I manage. But nothing compares to the satisfaction that you get out of this nonprofit business. Yes, you don't take much home, money wise, but you take satisfaction and you feel empowered. Every single day, you feel empowered because you have these federal agencies that you're up against. And as an individual, if I did not have my nonprofit, I would kind of feel weak because I don't have that title. But once we did the nonprofit, I realized there's a huge change and a difference in how other agencies view you.
Wow.
So we're basically an advocate for our community.
Wow. I mean, you said you feel empowered, and I think your feeling of empowerment comes from empowering others, and that's what people need to realize.
Right.
Once you give that, you take this empowerment, you give it to others, and now they are capable of doing things for themselves.
Correct.
That's where your empowerment comes from. That's where the satisfaction comes from, and it's just an amazing feeling. Thank you
And
so
that's
much
why
for
we like
sharing
to
that.
check up on them. That's why we like to check up on our clients because we know they're so capable of reaching highs that we have to check in with them every few months because it's so amazing to see where they're at in life and they're so happy about where they're at in life that they've taken even a step further, you know. So it's very nice. It's honestly it's very beautiful.
It's amazing. It's amazing and satisfying. And I want to urge those of you watching or will be watching later, if you have not visited QLEservices.org, give it a whirl. Go in and check out the services provided, or give Dua a call if you have questions, or if you know a family that needs help. I think that's the best number to call, because as you have heard and seen, she has been doing this for over 15 years and has tons of experience to help, and the passion for it. That's the most important thing. You could have the legal experience, but you may not have the patience or the passions. She has both. So I urge people to go ahead and give Dara a call. I'm going to leave the number too, even after this call ends. I'm going to leave the number at the bottom of the video. That way people can give you a call. And I think it's that is pure leadership, is helping other people grow and influencing them to be empowered themselves and take on whatever comes in life. Thank you so much for sharing your stories, sharing how you started, and really by just sharing how you started your organization, you're inspiring others to do so, I hope. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, folks, and that's the end of our leadership podcast. Watch us. We're not going to be back in May. I'm traveling. Wish me luck. We'll be back in June with Dr. Michael Koku, author of so many books and inspiring individual. And I will see you back in June. Be sure to follow and make sure to go to Dua's website. I'm going to put it up one last time here for everybody. Have a wonderful night. Here we go.